Hello knitters, Barbara Benson here. I'm an independent knitwear designer who also likes to make videos here on my YouTube channel, Watch Barbara Knit. If you would like to know more about my knitwear designs, please check in the description below, and there you will find a link to my Ravelry page where you will see images of all the things I've designed, and if you would like to, you can get a PDF and knit up one of my patterns yourself. Also in the description below, you will find a link to my Watch Barbara Knits Facebook group, and I would love to have you come over and join. It's a closed group, but I'll approve you. It's just to, make sure we have a little bit of control, because it's a place where we can share pictures and ask questions and just in general have fun. Always love to chat with you in the comments below, so please don't feel you have to go over to the Facebook. I will chat with you either place, and it is the second Thursday of the month, which means the description is going to be chock full of wonderful information because it is Fave 5. Now, what Fave 5 is me going through Ravelry. I pick a theme, and I go through Ravelry and browse all the beautiful images, and I know it's a really tough job, but I'll do it for you guys. And I see what is hitting my fancy at this very moment. I am not saying that these are the best. I mean, they're awesome patterns, but I'm not saying this is the best and I will fight you, arguments. No, this is what's tickling my fancy right now. This is what, based on my theme, I think is a fun thing that I want to show you. And I focus on other designers because there's so many amazing designers out there, and I want you guys to see them. And if you watch a lot of Fave 5s, you might notice that I have some favorites. But you know what? What appeals to you is what appeals to you. And I hope you like some of the things I've picked out. Now, the theme for today is based on the fact that next week I am going to be traveling to New York, upstate New York, flying and then renting a car and driving to Rhinebeck. Rhinebeck is a huge New York sheep and wool giant fiber festival. I'm so excited. I will actually be signing my book there, Mosaic and Lace Knits. And so if you're going to be at Rhinebeck, please come see me in Building B. I will be signing books and just chit-chatting. I'll be in Building B on both Saturday and Sunday signing books. And during the lunch hour and a half between noon and 1, I will also be on the hill at the Ravelry meetup. So I would love to see anybody come by, say hi, tell me you saw the video, or, not, but I'd love to see you. Now, I'm going to be traveling, and, when you're traveling, you have to have something to knit. It's just like a law. You don't want to be idle, especially if you're just sitting there forever and ever. But, some projects work for travel and some projects don't. Things that I find, some people I think can maybe focus on something really complicated, but personally I like more soothing knitting when I'm traveling, but I don't want to be bored out of my skull. So I will mention about these patterns, what about them makes me feel that these are particularly good travel knitting patterns. Now, the first one I have for you is called the Runcible Hat, and it is by Nina Machlin Dayton. And hats are fantastic as a travel pattern, a travel project, because they're relatively fast. If you're not going on a long trip, then this is going to be great for you. I particularly like knitting in the round when I'm traveling because I just, pull those needles and I use a circular needle, like this. And then when I need to put the project down, you just pull those needles like this, so all your stitches are down on the loop and you aren't going to lose any stitches, which I think is important. So almost all of these patterns I'm going to be working on a circular needle. Needle stoppers can help you also, and other needle keeper type things, like I have this awesome needle keeper, so something like this will work. This particular hat comes in, by Nina, comes in 5 different sizes, which I think is super cool. You could use your travel time to knit up some gifts, or if you're planning on maybe doing charity knitting, it goes from babies to large adults. So you can, it's a very flexible pattern, which I think is great. If you happen to, you know, go to a yarn store, then you can make whatever size and acquire some new yarn on your travels. You can make whatever size you need. This is knit in worsted weight yarn, and I like that it's a simple texture pattern. This looks like a broken form of ribbing, and then it has that 4-point decrease on the top, which I think looks clean and neat, and you're not gonna really need a bunch of stitch markers to juggle, which can be a pain in the butt when you're traveling. So I think that this pattern, it has a very simple, you can't see it in this picture I have, but it has a very simple garter brim, which I think is fantastic. So it's a very straightforward but really nice looking hat that I think would be great for travel knitting. So that's by Nina Machlin Dayton. And I have the Ravelry page pulled up over here, so if you see me like looking over here, that's why. But I also noticed last time I looked at the video that it makes me look like I'm like looking at the pattern. It's right over there. Isn't that funny? Now, here's the next one. It's a little bit more complicated. And when you're talking about travel knitting, I think that as the complexity level of what you're doing goes up, as far as stitch goes, the complexity level of the shaping you're doing should go down. So I think scarves make a fantastic knitting pattern for travel. This is the beeswax scarf by Amy Vandelar. It is designed to go with, she has a popular beeswax hat that's super cool. And this is the scarf. I really, really love this hexagonal shape she has here. It's got a little bit of lace. It's got a little bit of garter. So the lace pattern, but it's a repeated lace pattern. So for traveling, I think very quickly you would get accustomed to what you're working on and possibly even memorize the pattern. I don't tend to memorize patterns, but I usually can get to the point where all I have to do is glance at the chart and I know once I've got it, and then you can repeat it across the rows. So that is one of the reasons. This is one, if you're going to be traveling a little bit longer, I can see knitting this on a train would be fabulous, or a cruise. But again, it's not very wide. So you can have it on a circular and pull that circular, and so it hangs down on the loop and you're not going to lose your stitches. Another thing is being able to easily see where you left off when you put it down is good for a texture, for a travel pattern. So this one has a very bold motif. So I think that it'd be fairly quick when you pick it up to figure out where you set it down. I think also that its front back is not similar. It's not a problem. Let's see, this is knit again in worsted weight yarn. That's fantastic. And it takes a 600 to 1,000 yards, but she's got sizing for scarf and a wide wrap and a wrap. So for the scarf, you probably wouldn't need that much yarn. But again, I love this. It's got a big, bold pattern on it, and it's absolutely beautiful. So that's the beeswax scarf. If you're going on a train, this is what you should be knitting. Next one. Another piece worked in the round. Again, I really enjoy doing that. And these are the Cobblestone Mitts by Jen Lucas. This is from her book, Sock Yarn Accessories. I cannot sock yarn accessories. And it has a matching cowl, which you can sort of see a little bit of in this picture. The book is available, and there's a link in the description below to if you want the hard copy book, but it's also available on Ravelry as an ebook for those who like digitalness. But I think having a book with you on a trip would be a lot of fun, especially again, if you end up visiting a local yarn store and you're like, oh, but I need yarn for this project that I like in this book. So I really like these. It's, again, got a very simple texture pattern, so it's something that you would be able to easily pick up and put down and figure out where you are in the point. But I think that it has a little bit longer of a trip than the hat, say, because, you know, you're going to have to cast on 2 and do this twice. So maybe you can get one done on the flight there and one done on the flight back. That could be fun. But I really like these, since the book, as it implies, sock yarn accessories, these are done in a sock weight yarn. If you have a longer trip, you could make the mitts and the matching cowl. And so that would give you some flexibility on how much you want to get done. Again, it's called the Cobblestone Mitts by Jen Lucas, and I think they would make a great travel pattern. Here we have, it's called Chapin by NellKnits. And this is a brand new pattern. It just popped up and I immediately was like, that looks like such a soothing knit. And I think that those styles of knits are perfect for traveling. This one definitely looks like it starts at a point and grows out, and it's worked in what looks like a very simple texture pattern that's going to give a lot of richness and texture to a special yarn. Let's see, it is in a lace weight yarn, so that is absolutely gorgeous. And actually it's really cool. It's a silver spun silk, so this is worked in a silk yarn, and that's very luxurious, and apparently has a little bit of silver in the yarn itself. So that is super cool, and it would give you, while you're traveling, working with a beautiful luxurious yarn just adds to your vacation, I would think. Another thing that makes this particular pattern really great is that it's open-ended. So, you know, depending on how long your trip is, might tell you if you have a kerchief or a full-size shawl. Who knows? Now, the only thing, I don't know if I would want to be making tassels on a trip, but that would give you something to do when you got home and you're finishing it up and you're blocking it, and you can make the tassels and remember what a wonderful time you had on your trip. So this one I definitely like. I think it is a beautiful lightweight piece. Since it's lace weight and it's small, you'll be able to carry it in a small knitting bag, and I think that this would make a great travel project. Again, it's Chapin by NellKnits. And then finally, look at this! Isn't it super cool? I'm really not sure what's going on here. It's very tempting because in the description where you have all those little tags from Ravelry, it's categorized as other color work. So I'm not 100% sure what's going on here, but it looks like fun. This is the Spiral Cowl by Larissa Brown, and it's worked with 2 colors of yarn. I don't think you want to do a big project with 2 different colors of yarn as a travel project, but this just takes 2 skeins of worsted weight yarn, so that's not that big of a deal. Make sure you have a project bag to put them in, and this looks like a super simple pattern. She says grab 2 colors of squishy worsted yarn and make your own unique spiral. It says no stranded color work, no slip stitches. So you're just going to be knitting away. You're knitting stripes. It's got a little bit of lace in it, but again, it's the same stitch repeated over and over and over again. So I think this would make a really fabulous traveling project. It makes you look at this big old squishy cowl. Looks like a lot of fun. Looking at the size of that again. You are going to need a bigger project bag for this one, but I think it would be a lot of fun. Again, it's worked in the round, so that'll make it easier to keep control of your needles. And I just think this one looks like a lot of fun. It's got ribbing at the top and the bottom, and that's a no-brainer. So you could whip this up, but working with 2 colors, people might, like, when you're sitting there, be like, ooh, that's fancy. So you'll look like you're doing something impressive when in reality you're doing something super easy. So this Spiral Cowl by Larissa Brown wraps up my Fave 5 patterns right now of knits for you to travel with. Now, I also like to, when I have one, share a pattern of my own that I think fits the theme that I have selected. And I have back here I know you're going to be way surprised, but it's a shawl. And this one I think is really great comfort knitting. This is called In Uffish Thought. It takes a single skein of fingering weight yarn. Again, I'm sure many of you might possibly have a little sock yarn laying around, or again, if you're traveling and you pick up want to get a souvenir, a special skein from I love going into yarn stores and seeing if they have local dyers. So just if you get that one special skein of sock yarn, you can knit this up. It is constructed, it starts here, and this is the repeat. So once you get through one, I think it's 36 rows, but it's not much. Once you get through the one repeat, you just keep on repeating it over and over. So it's fairly easy to know what you're doing. The thing I love about this pattern, well, it has a very simple texture pattern that is almost garter, but not quite. It's got a little bit of interest, but that little bit of interest actually helps break up variegated yarns. But the thing is, on the edges, let me see if I can show you, it's got tiny cables. Look at the tiny cables. I wanted to have something on the selvage, but I didn't want to just do like a slip stitch or ribbing or anything. So this is the selvage. This little tiny cable is the selvage edge that prevents it from rolling. But they're just 1/1 cables, and you can work them without a cable needle, which I wouldn't really want to be messing with a cable needle on a trip, but it just keeps it fun. Just that tiny little bit of cabling keeps it engaging for me. When you get to the end of the row, every time I was able to do the cable, I was like, yay, cable time, because it's so cute. So the way it's worked is this yarn over is an increase. So over 12 rows, you increase, well, I think so. I think you increase 6, and then you do a little bit of a bind off. And then you increase 6 again, and then you do a little bit of a bind off, and then you increase again, and you bind off a little more, and you start all over again. So this is In Uffish Thought. It's one of those that once you get it started, it knits up super fast, and I think it would make an absolutely great travel project. I like to wear it. Let me flip that over like this, so that you get those fun teeth that you made in the front. And it's a nice kerchief style. So those are my Fave 5 with one bonus projects, knitting projects for you to travel with. If you like this video, please give it the thumbs up, click that like button. And if you would like to be notified whenever I upload a new video, please subscribe to my channel and select notifications. Thank you so much.